All right, athletes, welcome to the Superfly Coaching Ironman plan for people who are trying to break like 930 or put themselves into a Kona qualification type race mindset. Now, I've been to Hawaii 9 times. I've qualified for Hawaii maybe close to a dozen times. And I can tell you that the thing that really changed for me along the way was I would chase and I would chase and I would chase that first qualification, and I would always fall short. It seems like every time I get into the race, anxiety would take over or something would go wrong. And it just was an extremely frustrating experience. So in this, I'm going to try to talk to you specifically about a couple of tips along the way that I've picked up over a decade or so of going to Hawaii. I've qualified individually as a coach, probably 37 athletes, and then Superfly Coaching has qualified 60 to 70 athletes to go to the Ironman. And I can tell you, while a lot of it's fitness, a lot of it's mindset here, and we try to teach you tips and that type of stuff along the way. The very first tip that I'll express is forget qualification for a second. One of the game changers for me was not so much focusing on qualifying, but learning to become the type of athlete that can qualify. So what I challenge everyone to do is think about what their shortcomings are, what types of things that they would want to do to improve, what types of things they feel like are keeping them from getting into the race or qualifying for the race or breaking that Ironman threshold at an elite level, and challenge yourself to work on those things. Now, I didn't say go up, be real hard on yourself, because athletes tend to do that as well. And I don't want to shake confidence. I want to build confidence and belief in yourself. But I do suggest that you take an honest inventory of the types of things that you could improve on and then go to work on improving them, all right? Another thing is recognize the task at hand. So what I mean by that is, for example, we have some zone 2 time trials in here and that type of stuff. You are probably not going to run faster on your perfect day than your top of your zone 2 running. Even the people who are winning the race or winning their age group are running probably very close to the same speed that they could run at the top of their zone 2 if they were rested and went out for, an aerobic time trial run. And at first you might push back and think, no, that's impossible. Look at Patrick Langa. He ran last year, for example, under 240. I promise you he's capable of running much faster than 240 pace if he was doing an open race. So I know several people who have been in the top 10 of Ironman. Some people I've trained with have won Ironman and are friends of mine. And I can tell you that they can run up to a minute per mile faster in training off the bike for up to an hour than they're able to run for that race, and they're winning. So that's true. So we're going to focus on the specificity of what it is that we want to dial into and get through the race as fast as we can, and hopefully ultimately onto the Kona qualification, or just maybe you want that breakthrough race where you want to break 10 or even get under 930. We also want to really focus on strength. So while I have strengths in here, I would encourage you to take that seriously. Just make sure that you're not doing it so hard that you can't recover from that, so that you can go do the other things that you need to do. You'll also see lots of hill work. You'll also see where I'm putting multiple swims up, sometimes per day. I'm not asking you to swim, obviously, twice a day. I'm asking you if you want to either do masters or the suggested swim set. It really makes no difference to me. I'm also fine if you switch the swims around. Everything else, especially with this plan, if you start switching a lot of stuff around, be really careful. On some of the other plans, I'll have athletes run midweek, for example. That gets really dicey if you put your midweek long run in there and you don't know how to adjust the Tuesday, Thursday stuff, because we have you running pretty solid days on those days. So I would encourage you to try to keep the integrity of where the days are. I will say this, if you run into an opportunity where you need to take a day off, a lot of times, if it's a super key workout, we might want to think about making it up, and you can always reach out to us in the various modalities that you can do that, whether it's the website, Facebook group, membership areas, that type of stuff, and ask that question. But so often I'll tell athletes, just let that go. Forget it, move on. Even if it was a key workout, most of the time if we find ourselves chasing and trying to make stuff up, we can only put ourselves into an injury risk, which obviously we don't want. Consistency is king. So we're going to focus on this week on getting on the same page. It's pretty aggressive, all right? So we're starting off, for example, with a 2.5-hour run. I will tell especially people on this plan who are trying to do this at a higher level, please do not run over 20 miles or somewhere there close to it. So if you have like a 7-mile loop that you do 3 loops and it's 21 miles, that's fine. But if you're trying to run over 2 hours or 2.5 hours and over 20 miles, thinking that it's going to help your run, you're probably just going to make yourself really fatigued. So if you've had trouble in your runs in the past, I promise you it's probably because your swim and bike fitness are lacking and you're setting up your run in a fatigued state and not able to perform. So we want to make sure that we're doing things to put you in a good position to have a good run from the run training, but this is also supposed to put you in a good position so that your bike and swim don't leave you so exhausted that you can't execute on that run. So I'm blabbing a lot, and I will see you guys all next week.